I'm Dr. Liza Selley and I'm an air pollution toxicologist at the University of Cambridge. That means that it's my job to find out how air pollution can damage your health. And in particular, I'm interested in finding out how air pollution affects our risk of catching chest infections. The way that I do that is through experiments in the lab, which usually focus on these guys here. This is a specialised immune cell called a macrophage, which acts a little bit like a school caretaker. Its job is to patrol around your lungs and hoover up any dirt or germs that it comes across. If you look at the microscopy picture, you can see that it has these long arms sticking out of it. Now these are perfect for grabbing things like these bacteria, which will swallow up into a compartment and dissolve in acid, keeping it away from your lungs and preventing an infection from developing. Unfortunately, I found that lots of pollutants are really bad for macrophages and they prevent them from doing their caretaking duties. So I'm going to try and show you how I do that in the lab. And the first step is always to grow your macrophages. So I do that in a dish like this, and you find that they're going to grow pretty quickly if you keep them at body temperature and feed them lots of nutrients like they find in the blood. Once they've completely covered the dish, you're ready to go with the experiment. So I add my pollution, and today I've chosen some wood ash because exposure to wood smoke is incredibly bad for you. So as a toxicologist, it's incredibly interesting. So that goes on a nice even coating, and I leave the macrophages to play with that pollution for usually 24 hours. After that, I take them out, I get rid of any excess, and it's ready to go with the rest of the experiment. And this is the cool part, this is where I get the bacteria involved. Now, usually I use a really nasty one called Staph aureus, which causes pneumonia if it builds up in your lungs. So the idea is that goes on to the cells, which, if you remember, they've already had pollution, so they're not feeling their best. But the idea is to give them a little bit of time to do their job, to try and grab that bacteria in. After a couple of hours, I add water to the cells, which they don't like. This makes them pop, and they release any of the bacteria that they've gobbled up. What I can do after that is take one of these jelly plates, it's called agar, and it is perfect for growing bacteria on. So you take a little bit of the mixture that came from your macrophages with the bacteria in that they'd eaten, pop it on, and you leave it to grow. After a couple of days, you come back and you look at your agar, and you can see little white dots like this. Each dot shows you where one bacteria had been eaten by the macrophage. And usually what I find is a cell that hasn't been exposed to pollution has absolutely loads of white dots or bacteria colonies, but the one that has been exposed to the pollution doesn't have so many, which means that it wouldn't be taken up, the bacteria, if it got into your lungs, and you'd be more likely to develop a chest infection.